There are areas such as legal services, public sector banks. I mean, I don't see why public sector banks should have the gaps that they do in foreigners. So I think there's a huge amount of work to do, and I think India has probably just scratched the surface of foreign debt so far.
If I may just add one sentence, I think you can have a very real possibility that the foreign investment (FDI) in Myanmar might be higher than in India. The amount of interest you see from foreign investors, global, Asian, Japan, Korea, China, and Southeast Asia, into Myanmar, and you don't see that fever in India at all. Maybe Myanmar has just opened up, but the absolute sums, 41 billion committed in the last 2-3 years. In Myanmar, small economy, extremely difficult to do business with. It's absolutely unregulated. There, if you look at the foreign investment forms, it reminds you of the 60s of India. But people are going in because the government is welcoming it. And I think you need that similar positive vibes to come out for everyone.
Right. I will soon be taking questions from the floor, and but before that, if I could just give an opportunity to Swami for a brief closing remark.
The final wind-up is first that the budget is just one little part of a very much larger, broader program of accelerating growth and bringing down inflation, which other things have to be. In particular, there are a whole lot of business rules, and India is not an easy place for doing business. It comes $134, 183 countries. So there are a huge number of things to be done. Now that's where the reform process is important, as much for Indian investment as it is for any foreign investors. So if we have a situation now, bit by bit, okay, let me be blunt. A large number of those very difficult rules were really put in order to be able to get kickbacks. With this huge uproar about corruption, actually a lot of that can no longer be sustained. We are going to get a cleaner set of things in which we also have to simplify the rules. Right now the government is going in considerable detail day after day on how do we improve the rules for increasing coal production, for increasing the ability for outsiders somehow to get into private sector, to get into coal production, how do we get into expediting environmental clearance, the expansion of roads in forest areas. So on a series of these things, changing those small rules is something that has finally become a priority. That, to my mind, is going to be more important than many of these big ticket issues that come out in speeches. At the end of it all, the nitty-gritty, how much easier is it going to be to invest? The positive news there is this is recognized, and I said not from a point of view of foreign investment. So many Indians are saying, hey, I would rather invest in Brazil than invest in India. So the need to focus on cleaning up your act and accelerating growth, that they are finally attending to, I find that an encouraging sign. And without that, the budget by itself will not achieve much.
Now I throw the discussion